Waco ISD is home to 6 of the best student historians in the nation. Hello again, everybody. My name is Dale Caffey, and this is one in a series of interviews highlighting the 4 History Fair projects that made it all the way to national competition, to National History Day, which is the pinnacle of History Fair competition. I am with Michael Wood, and Michael developed a website all about Douglas MacArthur, and he was a national finalist. Congratulations once again, Michael, on this great accomplishment. You're one of a few children or students from around the world, and especially here in the United States, who get to go to National History Day. What's it like to be a national finalist in such a large group of students?
It's an honor, and the whole experience was really fun, getting to compete in the different competitions and advancing from regionals to state and state to nationals. And being at nationals was really pretty fun because you could talk to kids about what their websites and projects were on, and you got to make a bunch of new friends.
Great.
So.
Well, let's take it. By the way, Michael is a student at the Atlas Academy, and that's where all 6 students who went to nationals go to school. And again, this is one in a series of interviews with those award-winning students. Michael, you did a website, and we're going to take a look at some of the website as we talk. But number 1 was your subject. Your subject matter was Douglas MacArthur. How did you arrive at doing something on him?
Well, when they said leadership and legacy, I immediately thought military, because leadership of a general and the great legacy they have. And so I looked through my books from when I was younger, because I was really fascinated with the whole war and generals making the decisions. So I read a lot of them about them when I was littler. Mm-hmm. And when I was looking through my books, I saw Patton and I saw Admiral Nimitz, and I kind of flipped through the pages and said, oh, they're pretty good, but I don't know if I would choose this topic because other people would choose them. And then I saw General Douglas MacArthur. I flipped through the pages, and I thought, oh, this would be interesting. He was in 3 different wars and was a great leader and general in all of them. So I picked it. Very good.
We're going to talk about the intricacies of developing a website in just a moment, but let's get more into MacArthur and the amount of research you had to do. You mentioned you had some books at home, obviously, and you read them as a younger child, and were fascinated by that. But how much research? I mean, talk about the research, because you guys who are involved in History Fair, it all starts in the fall, and by the end of it, you have a bibliography that is sometimes 2 pages long. Talk about that.
It's really a long process, but it's different than like doing anything else. For like making a play, it's you write the script and then you memorize it, or setting up a board, you build a board. But for the website, you have to go in and you have to know what you're going to do before you make it, kind of. So you have to browse your options before, and then you go and do the research after you've set up your theme, and then you can start adding color and video and music and pictures after you've gotten your text.
That's interesting, because I thought that the research was first and then the website, but first you think about how you want your website to look, what kind of sub-pages you want to develop, and then you go about your research. That's interesting. So talk about the things that you did to create this website.
Well, first, after I chose my theme, I went in and I kind of just started saying, okay, I need to have a page on his early life, mm-hmm. and I need kind of what I needed to have. And I looked through some of the pictures, pulled up a screen for that, and then I pulled up a couple different sources on the internet and biographies about him and started reading through those. And so I kind of was multitasking, but I tried to get as much of the research done first so I can so it's easier for me to go in and do the pictures.
Right. Of course, we're letting the audience look at the website as we're talking about it, and we can see that the early life is indeed one of the subpages or one of the tabs at the top. And then World War I and World War II. He's most famous, I would think, for World War II, but talk about some of the research you did on him in World War I.
In World War I, he was one of the most looked up to, and he led the Rainbow Division, which was a span of National Guard units from all over the United States, and it's supposed to span like a rainbow. That's why they call it the Rainbow Division. Wow. And his men were highly fond of him, and even though that division suffered 50% casualties, they wouldn't run from a fight under his command because they trusted him.
Very good. As we continue to look, of course, you did World War II and then Korea and then the legacy. Let's go back to World War II, because one of the most famous statements he's known for is, "I shall return." It's always been a favorite of mine. Why don't you tell the audience how that came about and why he is so well known for that?
Well, he said that when he was leaving the Philippines, and he said that to Filipino people because Japan was coming and trying to take it, and they didn't want to get their generals captured, because what use is a general when he's captured?
Right.
And so they took him out of the Philippines and moved him to Australia. And some of his soldiers didn't really like this. Like one of the interviews I did with Herb Houston, he said, "Oh, I didn't like him in the Philippines," or his men didn't like him in the Philippines just because he left, and then we got sent on the death march. And so I think the Filipino people trusted him, and when he came back, it just strengthened the bond between them.
Right. I shall return, and he did return, basically. Very good. Obviously, at the end, you have to write sort of a legacy or a summation of all your research. Talk about the legacy that MacArthur leaves.
MacArthur, from a young age, was destined for greatness. His parents knew. His father said, "Oh, this boy's going to be a great general one day. He's going to follow in my footsteps." And so I think MacArthur, when he didn't do so well in school from a young boy, and so his parents moved him to military school, and that's where he really took an interest in his studies, because he was so used to being around the military. And so soon he went to West Point Military Academy, and there are myths and legends of him being a troublemaker, but I don't know if that's true yet. And after he graduated from West Point, he was one of the highest ranked students in his class, and he scored the highest on all of his tests in his class. And then he went into World War I and was a great leader in World War I and led a lot of divisions. And he was known for his dress in World War I because he wouldn't wear the U.S. uniform with a helmet, and he wouldn't carry a gun, or he wouldn't even have a gas mask. And gas was really, really popular in World War I to go into the trenches, and he wore a purple knit scarf that his mother made him, and he wore khakis with a jacket and a corncob pipe, and the only weapon he carried with him was a riding crop, and he'd carry that around the trenches. So that was very interesting. And then in World War II, there are a lot of mixed opinions about him because his troops didn't like him in World War II, and some of them did, and the Filipino people liked him in World War II, and So then in Korea, I think the reason he got fired too is because he was used to being on such a loose leash with President Roosevelt and kind of having him do anything he wants, both of them using each other because Roosevelt knows he's the best man in the field, and MacArthur saying, okay, this guy gives me power. So, right. But when Truman came in Korea, MacArthur kind of was used to running the show, and it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and publicly challenged Truman over his opinions. And Truman finally said, nope, you publicly challenged me, you're fired. And MacArthur was fired, but he still helped with he helped advise Presidents Kennedy, Eisenhower, and Johnson. And so he kind of stayed in the military field even after he was unemployed. Right. So
I guess the final question I would have for you on MacArthur itself is as you do the research, you form your own opinions. What are Michael Wood's opinions about Douglas MacArthur?
Well, I do believe he was arrogant at sometimes, but only because he was trying to get done what he thought was right and for the country he loved. And his fans will only list his victories, and his critics will only list his defeats. Right. And so it's kind of, you go one way or you don't go that way. And I'm leaning toward him being a good guy. He was a good guy, but sometimes his he
wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Well,
he got bossy.
Yeah, very good. Well, Michael, congratulations once again. Any other reflections about what you accomplished this year? And I guess most importantly, you're an 8th grader now, right?
Yes.
So you'll be a freshman. Will you continue to try to pursue history fair competition in high school?
Yes, I will. I think I'm going to try to do more websites. It just kind of depends on the competition and the topic.
Very good. Well, I can tell you that this website is well done. And for those who at home who would like to visit your website, we do have a URL for them now that it's going to be permanent, because you actually had it on the National History Day server for competition.
And I transferred it to Weebly, the regular Weebly.
To Weebly. Okay, so if you would offer the folks at home your Weebly address, and you want to write this down because it's a bunch of numbers, guys. So
it is 974-88678.weebly.com.
Very good. And we will also superimpose that at the bottom of the screen here so you can take a look at it. Once again, this is Michael Wood, an award-winning website maker and award-winning historian in the Junior Individual Website category at National History Day. We're so proud of him. He's from the Atlas Academy, where there are learners today, leaders tomorrow.